And that's how I know I'm not Spider-Man. What's going on, everybody? This is the Coverbandconfidential podcast, the podcast for cover band musicians and band leaders to learn how to rock more and sing less. In Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Adam Johnson.
In Greensboro, North Carolina, I'm Dan Ray.
Dan, the Mondays have been Mondaying at this house.
Okay, well, at least you know what day it is.
I do, which is actually saying something because, yeah, the days have been kind of murky.
Well, it's the first Monday after the Christmas New Year's megaplex of
Yes.
mushy, ambiguous days. So at least
Yes.
Monday has asserted itself, and it's clearly a Monday. That's
right. But this is the last day of no kids in school, which made it somehow more Monday than normal.
That makes sense to me.
But the thing that really Mondayed my Monday is I woke up and I had gotten like something that looked like a bug bite on Saturday or Sunday. And then I woke up this morning and it was like red and raised and looked really gross. And I was like, that looks like maybe a spider of some, ill repute has bitten me.
Yeah.
So after sending some very questionable pictures to my friend who's a nurse, I ended up at the urgent care to get some antibiotic ointment, because if you guys saw what I saw, one, either on Google when you type in spider bites, or the pictures that the guys in the flippin' Patreon group sent of their spider bites, you would have gone to the doctor too.
Yeah, I almost did. I don't have a spider bite.
I was shocked and appalled at the number of anecdotal examples that were in that group.
Yeah. So no stickiness, no web shooting out of your wrists.
Not at the moment.
Okay. All right.
And
if you get super strong or super agile, I want to know about it.
Yes. In the NAMM group chat, I posted something about that. And they're like, so are you Spider-Man yet? I'm like, no, just man.
Just man.
That's what I got.
I did at one point when, in an effort to amuse my child, claimed to be Man, who had all the powers of a man, and his nemesis is things that need doing.
It's relatable.
Thrill at his exploits. Yeah.
Yes.
Man. Was bitten by a radioactive man, and it gave me the powers of a man. Yeah.
The only thing that hits home harder is the line, and mom and dad can hardly wait for school to start again.
Oh, yeah. It was supposed to start here today. Today was going to be the first day back after 2 weeks. And then there was a fraction of an inch of snow on Sunday. And so they canceled Monday. And now they've just said they're canceling Tuesday because it's, Greensboro, any kind of inclement weather happens, they get both snowplows out. And it takes them a bit.
You guys got plows?
Yeah, a couple. Yeah, get it under control.
They're talking about snow down here on Friday.
Right.
I'm not holding my breath, but we're just so ill-equipped for these kinds of things.
Yeah, I know that'll shut you guys down hard.
Yeah. And the examples of such are plentiful.
Yeah.
So any gigs, anything that's been going on, or are we just really just kind of detoxing from the holiday rush?
We are. I'm prepping for a couple of things, and I've shared this a little bit with you, not a ton, and I don't think I've mentioned it even to the Patreons, but I've had, coming home from gigs for the last year and a half or something, like bad footness happening, both feet bad. And I've been to Disney a couple of times. I've been to conferences and work conferences, walked around like crazy, and bad footness has been happening. Bad feet, actually. And so I went to a full-on, sometime earlier this last year, I decided maybe it might be actually medical. And I went to a doc about it. And yes, I'm in fact diagnosed with structurally effed up feet. It's the clinical term.
Yeah.
But fixable. And so end of this month, January 31st, I'm having surgery on my first of two feet, lefty. Anybody who is not squeamish and curious can Google Achilles insertional debridement and gastrocnemius recession. Those are the two procedures we're doing.
Is that all?
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. From this side of it, the recovery looks pretty daunting. It's going to be 6 weeks, no weight on it.
Oof.
I'll be in a boot until about month 3. I'll be doing PT that whole time. And then it really will be 6 months to maybe a little more like a year before I'm back at full strength.
Wow.
And that's foot number 1 of 2. Foot 2 might not need as aggressive a thing, but foot 1 definitely needs that. And so Um, yeah, I'm looking at this several month period of like really dealing with all that. And
Yeah.
so I have not been booking anything. I've been pushing stuff out when I can. I did book a standing weekly karaoke gig that I now have pushed off to like March. It's going to
Mm,
start next week.
yeah.
Um, and I do have one acoustic gig before before I go into the knife, and I'm marketing it as Dan's last gig, with a little asterisk. Um, so I got a few weeks. You don't have to start thinking of me, right now. But I am looking forward to it with mild to moderate dread.
Fair.
It's not going to be super fun, and I don't really even quite know what to expect in terms of what the recovery is really going to be like,
Mm,
aside from that time frame that they gave me. So people recover from Achilles ruptures essentially during the surgery. They will have to do an Achilles rupture,
phew.
so that's what we're recovering from mainly. Um, and so, yeah, yes, yeah, it's a big deal. It's kind of what I'm looking at now for the next little bit. It'll be, so it's not just not just a rebuilding year for the band,
Three.
rebuilding
Yeah.
year for you know my being vertical.
Dan's
Um,
infrastructure.
yeah, yeah, but listen, it's an investment in my long term, quality of life.
Yeah.
I couldn't go on like this, so we got to do something. Anyway, happy to share that with y'all, and on the 31st, if you don't mind passing a good thought my way, that'd be helpful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I was supposed to have a gig on Friday and then it fell through. And it was one of those just after being, cooped up in the house and kind of halfway in, halfway out, like, oh, I really hope this gig happens. Oh, I
Mhm.
really hope I don't have to go out into
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
And it ended up not panning out, but that's
Mhm.
okay. And it's actually the thing I want to discuss during the big part of the show. So
Yeah.
yeah, it all worked out. I spent that week prepping guitars that had not been prepped and put new strings on the Taylor in probably a year. I typically, I'll get the coated ones so they last or whatever. But
Yeah.
you know, the thing about guitars that you treat like tools is that you never really pay attention to their state. It just
Right.
comes out to do the job and then goes back in the case when the job is done. Um, and as I was cleaning off this guitar and putting strings on it and whatever, I was like, oh, this thing needs a refret, like
Mm.
pretty bad. There's a couple of spots on the probably second and third frets where like full string indentation, just bad news.
Wow.
So I mean, it's from 2013 or 12, so it's been rode hard, put away wet
Yeah.
on more than one occasion. So
For sure. For
it's
sure.
about time.
Yeah. Good. Well, it'll play like a whole new thing when you pick it up.
Yes, I'm curious to see how long I can manage with it being like that before I have to go. Like, nope, you got to go.
Yeah.
No mas. Anywho, let's go ahead and go to reviews. Now, this one came in. It's actually fresh right out of the oven. I found it today.
Sweet. Okay.
This one's interesting just because I ended up having to like copy a screenshot. And so like there's some generative interestingness in the transcription. But anyway,
Mm.
5-star review on Apple Podcasts from the Underdogs band. It says Adam and Dan are the best.
Hey.
Strong start.
Yeah.
Just a couple of down to earth guys that know their stuff when it comes to the world of running a successful band. I love listening to and learning from their insight, sage like wisdom, and sense of
Oh,
humor.
nice.
Yeah. From a fellow gearhead, the gear reviews are great too. I've been a regular listener on YouTube for quite a while. Again, a YouTube consumer of our stuff.
Yeah.
And just signed up on Patreon because I appreciate what you guys are doing. Keep up the good work. Now, when I went to go type this in, it said actually keep up the good house cleaning. That was what the
Huh.
computer thought should go there. And I just thought it was worth mentioning
That
because I just thought
that
it was.
is. I mean, it's good advice.
And that is from the Underdogs. So
Thanks,
if
underdogs.
yeah, if you want us to mention your name in your band, leave a review. Join the Patreon while you're at it.
Sure.
That's a fun bonus to that whole thing. And going through all of the stats and numbers for the past year, it's been pretty
It's been
crazy.
good. Yeah.
Just crazy growth on everything from the show to YouTube to socials and yeah, Patreon has almost I think we added like 30 some odd percent of our total population this year,
It's been
or
a
this
big
past
year.
year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're only getting bigger.
Yeah.
Feeling
Yeah.
good
What
about
was
it.
the total number? I don't have it in front of me, so I'm gonna talk out of my
Yeah, we're under 100.
the thing that you showed me was that our percentage growth of listeners year over year was like, I don't have it in front of me, but like in the 50% range. So
56%. Yeah.
50, yeah, yeah. That's like huge growth in a year.
Yeah. It was like an additional 30 or 40,000 listens, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
I was being very strict about the numbers I provided last time, where it was just for the podcast. I threw all those numbers together and it was something like 890 something thousand.
Okay.
Which this year or this past year, that's just like, I can't, those, yeah, doesn't make sense.
I'll take it though.
So yeah, keep up the good housekeeping, everybody.
Keep up the good housekeeping.
Okay. So this week, I wanted to talk about something that just kind of presented itself to me. And in the midst of all the other stuff that is going on, I just thought this was kind of a fascinating thought experiment, if nothing else, and worth getting into. So, about a month ago, there was an ad that went out on one of these closed musician groups on Facebook for this area, looking for musicians to play at the Lifetime Fitness in the city. Well, it turns out that that one is about 2 miles from my house,
Nice.
and the ask was 90 minutes once a month in exchange for a free membership to this gym.
Huh.
Now, if you aren't familiar with Lifetime Fitness, you should look them up because they're kind of insane. But they are these, like, I guess like a holistic gym is the only way I know how to like describe it. It's like they have co-working space and hair salons and cold plunges and indoor and outdoor pools. Like, it is one of these like absolute massive complexes.
Okay.
And monthly membership there can be pretty pricey. I have never been a member there because frankly, I couldn't justify the cost. And so I was like, well, that's kind of an interesting value proposition. This is something that doesn't pay anything, but has a pretty solid payoff.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes a question of, is my time worth the thing that I'm getting in return? And I just thought that's kind of a fascinating topic, and something that honestly has been kind of controversial in this community. We've definitely
Yes.
had pretty heated conversations around the
Yes.
concept of this kind of thing.
I mean, the sort of dumb case of it is the question: should you play for free?
Right.
Right. And the answer to that is no. I mean,
No.
I think we can say that in a pretty absolute way.
Yeah.
But are there ways to get compensated that aren't cash?
Yeah. And, the core concept was kind of one that we had come up with, talking about how to choose when to take gigs, period.
Mm.
And it was the three pillars, really. It was, is it going to be fun? Is it going to pay well? Is it low stress, low risk?
Mhm.
And usually 2 out of 3, you're feeling pretty good about it. And this one hit 2 out of 3. It just wasn't the one that says, does it pay well?
Right.
The way that I kind of looked at it from, my perspective, I would not be doing solo gigs. And in fact, the fact that I had to like completely reset everything up on my tailor shows that like that's just the thing that normally wouldn't happen this time of year.
Right.
So it's something that's kind of keeping me sharp and giving me opportunities to try new songs and do things that I don't normally do, just to kind of test them out. And again, super low stakes, low risk. They started this program this month, and I was, I think, the first person to do it.
Nice.
And I played to maybe 6 people, and I played for just at an hour, and that was it.
All right.
I filled the paperwork out. I've got the access. I can cold plunge whenever I want, as long, as soon as this spider bite heals.
Here's the question of whether it's worth it, partially comes down to, are you gonna use the membership?
Mhm.
The the economics of gym memberships, of course, depend heavily on people paying for them and not using them. So
Yes.
if it's a benefit that you'd be getting but not using, then that cuts into the value for you.
Right. But it's a good excuse to invest in that kind of service that I wouldn't ultimately be able to do otherwise.
For sure. Yeah.
And if I think about like even the drop-in rate, if I go 4 times in a month, I'm ahead of the game, theoretically. But again, this is virtual money. This is money that is not being expended. So, if I go and do a class and then maybe sit in the steam room or whatever. Like maybe that feels like it's worth the 60 minutes I exerted to do it that month.
Yeah. Listen, finish a gig and end the night in the steam room.
Yeah.
That's not
Nice
bad.
schwitz.
Yeah, I do that. I do that all day.
You got showers in a locker room. Like you can really go hard and
Go
then
hard.
yeah,
Yeah,
sit there and recover. So kind of zooming out of my specific situation, the immediate part of it, there was a concept that I wanted to kind of talk about, and it's about the value proposition of taking a gig. And I came up with two categories. There's ITR value and OTR value. So ITR stands for inside the room. What kind of ITR value are you getting out of whatever gig you want to do? An example of an ITR value would be a really active participatory crowd.
sure.
So they're there to have a good time, and they're going to make requests, and they're going to tip you, or they're going to kind of, you're going to walk out of that gig feeling good.
Yeah, something that makes the gig itself really satisfying.
Right. Or it could be, a bar credit or a food
Sure.
tab,
Yep.
and maybe it's a restaurant that you love to go to, and okay, I'll play for 90 minutes in exchange for a free meal, the best
I
chicken sandwich in town.
I'll tell you, I have played for way less than my usual rate, not no money, but not very much money, and a really killer steak at a really great steak place in Greensboro. So
Yeah.
I've done that. I've done that.
Those are kind of things that like I can experience this. It's kind of like immediate gratification because
Mm,
you make a decision and then you experience the things that add value immediately. That's good. That's that quick release, that shot of endorphins and all that good stuff. Now OTR value is a bit more nebulous, a bit less guaranteed, maybe, but still potentially good reasons.
sure.
So OTR values that I have thought through in certain situations. Will this gig give me the opportunity to book more gigs or book
Right.
private events? That's an
Yeah,
OTR value.
absolutely.
And so am I playing a discounted rate at a charity event, but I know that that room is full of decision makers who could, keep us busy on the back half of the year?
Yeah.
Or if I do this set, can I finish this gig and jump directly into the pool in
Right.
December?
Right. Right. What about this gig is in a place that looks really great, and I'm going to bring my photographer and end up with a lot of good marketing materials coming out of it.
Which is kind of like, I think that's the magic bullet.
Yeah,
That's the Venn diagram where the ITR and OTR kind of overlap.
could be.
But yeah, the idea that you would take something just for the optics, for it's a cool room, it's a nice venue, it's a good stage, they got nice production.
It's a good logo to have on your resume.
Yeah.
I played this venue.
The intrinsic value behind what we do is, I don't think it's unquantifiable, but the ability to quantify it can be varied and uh, interesting, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
That's a way to put it.
Yeah, and I think as long as you are getting value of one type or the other, or some combination that makes it worth your while, makes it attractive, there's no problem with playing for quote unquote free. I think as
Yeah.
long as there's something in it for you, and I wouldn't do it every time,
No.
but every now and then there's a good reason. And look, a charity gig is a great example of it too. There's a
Mhm.
certain contribution and ethical responsibility to the community that you're satisfying, and that's a real value. That's a real value. If you care about the benefit or whatever it is, we usually do them at the request of one of our band members. Will have some request come in, and we think we try to only do one or two a year from each person, maybe one
Yeah.
if we can be careful about it. But last one we did, I had no idea what the heck the charity was or anything. I had to get the acronym explained to me when we were standing waiting to
Yeah,
go
you have to
on.
be
Like
careful with that kind of stuff.
no idea what it was, but then I understood enough to be able to say diabetes strong on mic. So that was
There you
good.
go.
Yeah.
We had that conversation a couple of episodes ago where it was an opportunity to kind of play to benefit the film workers in
Right.
in the city.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's like, yeah, I can get behind that. Did
Sure.
they end up booking us? No, but they've contacted us before. Maybe, third time's a charm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately, we're down for the cause.
Exactly.
Another example of this was something that I came up with just based on, again, necessity. The kiddos in the marching band. It's a very expensive extracurricular,
Yeah.
and you know the kids and the parents were subjected to just like fundraiser after fundraiser after fundraiser. And it's just like, what can we do in like a single night that could just like make all this money? And I immediately was like, 80s prom.
Mm.
We'll do an 80s prom,
Yeah.
and not like a rinky dink one, like go big, like go like get this really nice venue and all these cool vendors, and like to make it like a high end event that like not just parents of the kids that go to this thing would want to go to, you
Who are
know?
tapped anyway, like, they've been giving to this for
Right.
months
Yeah,
and months and months. Yeah.
exactly. And more like a treat for them to like let them blow off steam after, busting their butts to make sure that this thing works.
Yeah.
And then the thought, of course, being that, okay, well, now we have access to 100 musicians. What can we do with them?
Mhm.
And so, put together a horn section, or, do a bunch of saxophone songs, have the kids come up, have the drum line come up, do In the Air Tonight, like
Right.
Mike did with the Pork Tornadoes and
For
the
sure.
Iowa State Marching Band. So I just thought that was like a cool idea. And, that would be one of those things where Amber and I would quote unquote play for free. Of course, we'd be doing all the planning and the production and
Right.
all the hard stuff.
Right.
We would be giving that away uh, in exchange for not having to do as many fundraisers the year after.
You
That seems
think?
worth it to me.
I guess. I guess. I played, my kids' elementary school annual picnic, a couple years ago, and, it was just for fun. It was just for fun. There
Sure.
was like, I love the school, and I got to play some Miley Cyrus tunes that the kid and her friends stomped around the yard to and screamed along with me, and it was a good time. And one of the most heinous load in load outs I've ever done. It was down like a grass amphitheater to this little
Mhm.
tiny stage, and so pulling the rock and roller cart back up that was
Whew.
had to recruit some small pusher people to help me make the
Nice.
make the way back up. But yeah, it was worth it. It was fun. It was good.
This feels like a paradigm shift. I think, we've been so capitalistic, I believe, you know, and now we're
Yeah,
starting to like move into this agrarian bartering mindset.
for
Maybe
sure.
this is what happens during the slow season. We're just like, well, what is it? I'll
Oh,
do anything.
I'll play for 2 chickens and
I
a
I don't care.
a bushel of oats.
We're just so desperate
Yeah,
for the validation.
yeah.
I'll do it. I'll get in a cold bucket of water. I'll do anything.
That's right. That's right. It's interesting you think of this as the slow season. For acoustic, usually the holiday season's pretty busy for me. I had 2 holiday gigs this year, but that's down, deliberately because I was taking it easy on myself physically.
Yeah.
Um, and in past years, I've been booked through the holidays. Get a pretty good book of holiday music and, kind of promote yourself like that, and it's pretty busy.
Yeah. Here, the prevalence of live music outdoors is just
Mm,
insane because less than a mile from here, there's 40 places you can play in a night.
yeah,
So when things do get cold, the music doesn't stop, but it drops significantly.
sure.
So it's always kind of been, we pick up somewhere between February and April, just depending, and then everything's back to normal. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
this keeps me sharp in the off season,
for sure.
working on my keeping my voice up and my hands and my back, and
Well,
yeah,
and that's another, I don't know whether it's an I or an OTR, but, keeping yourself limber, keeping yourself in the game, that's
that's
some value.
OTR, I think.
Yeah,
Oh
I guess
yeah,
probably.
it's a little bit of both.
Yeah,
It in the room, it's good to be sharp, but also outside the room, it's good to stay, where that first 3 hour or whatever doesn't like lay you out for the
yeah,
weekend
and
afterwards.
you got the confidence you can book it and deliver and not have to, really agonize over getting yourself up into fighting shape.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just like having the excuse to do it, because
Yeah,
that's part of my challenge is just will I sit and practice if I don't have to?
Right.
And the answer is no. My brain works on the desperation of now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
got to do
No,
something.
I do perform best under the gun. There's no question about
Yeah.
that.
So in conclusion, do what you want. I
Yeah.
don't. It doesn't matter if you're the one. You're the one who's loading the gear up and putting all the stuff together and actually cranking the thing out. You decide what it's worth.
Yeah. If it's worth your while, then it's worth your while. You don't have to defend that.
And listen, I've played high paying gigs that didn't feel like they were worth it at all.
Yes, for
Like
sure.
I know I'm making 5x, 10x what I normally make. It's not enough,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? But I've also played gigs that were pretty cushy where you're like, yeah, I can put up with this.
Yeah.
No problem. May I have another?
Yeah. What are you doing next week?
But yes, I'm looking forward to just wringing that membership dry because again, there's so many things that you can do there
Good.
beyond just like getting on a treadmill. So go get my haircut or something. I don't know.
Awesome.
Why not?
Why not?
The world is a vampire or an oyster. You decide.
Crustacean of some sort.
Yes. Again, I think we really landed this plane just now.
We did. Well, things were going good until vampire kind of threw me, but
I don't know. Well, because I was supposed to say the world's your oyster, but then
I know.
I'm a child of the '90s where I was like the world is a vampire.
Yeah.
Gang, 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 gang. Just yeah,
It could be your vampire, at least. Yeah. I'm on board.
it's
I'm on
fine, guys. Listen, the hour plus band coaching episode nearly took me out.
board.
So, will you guys get a tight 30 this week with just impeccable editing? You betcha.
Better believe it.
5 camera angles, 5 audio sources, trying to make it all everybody talking on each other, man. But
I
listen,
mean, it came together good. It was pretty coherent.
it took a lot of work, but it was absolutely worth every second because I thought it turned out great. And the response from that episode has been pretty insane
Hmm.
on every platform. Lots of people leaving comments. I put up a couple of polls where it's like, hey, should we do more of these? And the overwhelming consensus is, yeah, we
Hmm.
like this.
Good.
So I've got people in my DMs going, I'd like to volunteer to be coached next, please. So clearly,
Alright.
there's some need there, and people seem to really enjoy it and benefit from it. Whether it's their band or not. So we
Good.
definitely need to get some more of those in the books. And yeah, things are going great. Other than spider bites and kids needing to go to school, full steam ahead, I guess.
Yeah, here we go.
Well, folks, that's going to do it for this week. Thanks so much for tuning in. Couldn't do it without you. We appreciate each and every one of you. The Patreon community is just been incredible. And coming off the best year ever, going into the next best year, maybe better year.
All right.
2 weeks out from NAMM, setting up meetings with gear companies to talk business and exchange briefcases. I think that's how business works. Is that what they do?
I believe the formal way business is done is you write a number on a piece of paper, you put it face down, and you slide the paper across the table. The sliding is really the critical piece of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I actually have a whole mess of CBC business cards coming in, so I'll be able to practice before I go.
Perfect.
I thought I was so smart with our little lock screen QR thing,
Yeah.
and it just didn't land. It just wasn't, people weren't as hip to it. So I was like, all right, we're going back to analog.
It's that is kind of thing. They scan the QR code and then they go somewhere else on their phone and
Right.
it's not like a piece of paper I can go home and be like, oh yeah, this guy.
Well, it does have a QR code on it, but it also has like other information.
Yeah. Well, and it exists later. I'll pull it out of my pocket, be like, oh yeah, this guy.
Right. Well, hopefully it's like, oh, this guy.
Ugh.
If you like to support the show, you can do any of the things that you're about to hear, but we'll go and call it for this week. In Atlanta, Georgia, I'm Adam Johnson.
Greensboro, North Carolina, I'm Dan Ray.
You've been listening to the Coverbandconfidential podcast for the week of January 10th, 2025.